The sixth installment of the Halloween franchise was very troubled, so you could say the movie is like a tale of two cities. We're going to talk about the theatrical city right now. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Yes, today we're going to cap off the Thorn trilogy. We are on to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers today. Now, this film came out September 29th of 1995. It's rated R, hour and 27 minutes long, had a budget of $5 million, and upon release that September made $15 million and some change at the box office. So the film made a little bit of money. Now, this is the first film in a long time that Mustafa Akkad had collaborated with a studio, Dimension Films, and the Weinstein brothers. Unfortunately, they probably regretted that decision because this film was a very troubled production. We'll get into that as we go along. Now, I have great nostalgia for this film. For the main reason is it's the first Halloween film I got to see in the movie theaters. I saw it as opening night, that Friday night, September 29th, in 1995. My buddy Chuck drove down to Allentown, Pennsylvania. We were in our small town. We had a couple movie theaters around here to drive to, but nobody had this film for opening weekend. So we found out it was down Allentown. He drove, me, Chuck, my buddy Rich, and Joey went down and we checked out this film. So I have great nostalgia for it. First Halloween film I got to see in the theaters. Now, in this film, we have Joe Chappelle directing this film. Joe Chappelle went on to direct, well, he did reshoots on Hellraiser 4, Bloodline, because that was a very troubled production. Dimensions, the Weinstein brothers had a habit of screwing with directors. I mean, they even screwed with Guillermo del Toro on Mimic. He had a bad experience with the Weinsteins on that film. It was stuff of legends, how they screwed with Wes Craven on Cursed, basically reshooting the whole film almost before that film came out. So yes, the Weinsteins have messed with a lot of filmmakers over the years, and there's some I'm not even mentioning here, but those are some of the ones that always come to my mind. Joe Chappelle also directed a film called Phantoms with Ben Affleck, which I actually like that film. It's a Dean Koontz, it's based on Dean Koontz novel, which I have read. I actually like that film, though. It's not a bad little film. It's not the greatest thing, but it's enjoyable. You can sit down and have fun with it if you've never seen it. Now, cast-wise, we have the great Donald Pleasance back as his last franchise installment as Loomis, unfortunately, because he died shortly after production wrapped on this film. Paul Rudd's cinematic debut as Tommy Doyle. They brought that character back from the original film. Marianne Hagen as Kara Strode. Mitchell Ryan as Dr. Wynn, and he plays an integral role in this film. And Mitchell Ryan was in Lethal Weapon. He was the main bad guy, the general that was in charge of, Mr. Joshua, and he was also in Magnum Force in the 70s with Clint Eastwood, the sequel to Dirty Harry. He's been in a ton of stuff over the years. His list of credits goes on and on and on if you check out his list of credits online. And he's good in the movie. J.C. Brandy as Jamie Lloyd. Yes, the Weinstein brothers would not pony up the money and pay Danielle Harris to come back to play Jamie. Now, unfortunately, the way they treat the character in this one, I don't blame Danielle Harris for not wanting to do it. The way they kill her off in like the first 15 minutes of the film, and it's just shitty. It's just shitty what they do to that character. And George Wilbur is back as Michael Myers in this film. And they shot this film again in Salt Lake City. So the movie starts off with this ceremony being, well, we see Jamie, which we don't know it's Jamie at first, because it's not Danielle Harris, and she's screaming and she's in labor, and then we see this ritual being taking place on the baby. They draw the thorn symbol on the baby's stomach in blood, and then Jamie is sleeping in this room, and this nurse comes in with the baby and gets her out, saying, "He's coming, you gotta go." And soon enough, Michael Myers makes his triumphant return on screen. Jamie gets away in a pickup truck right after a guy gets his head basically twisted off by Michael Myers, and she goes down this road. Then we're introduced to, we see Loomis. We introduce him. He's living in the countryside by himself, and he doesn't do medicine anymore. And we're introduced to Tommy Doyle's character. They're listening to this radio program. We're also introduced to Kara Strode. They're setting up the characters here. And then we're back to Jamie. And she's at this bus depot. Nobody's around. And Michael chases her. Well, she's hiding. And then she ends up at this farm where she wrecks the truck. And this is where Jamie meets her end. She gets thrown on a piece of farming equipment in a very gory scene, and she's dead, but she hid the baby. Michael thinks it's in the truck, and it's not there. So the next day, we're introduced to more of Kara Strode and her family dynamic. She's living back at home. She's going to college. She has a young son, and she's living with her mom and dad, which we find out her dad's a big prick asshole because he comes off as very verbally abusive and probably physically abusive as well to his wife and his daughter, because we see him slap her in the face during this interaction at the breakfast table. They're off to college, and we're introduced to her brother and his girlfriend, and they're talking about how Halloween's been banned in Haddonfield, just like the script that John Carpenter and Deborah Hill had commissioned for Halloween 4. It makes its appearance here. Halloween's been banned in Haddonfield since '89, since Michael Myers disappeared, and they reference how on a radio program when they're listening to it the night before, they reference how he got broken out of jail and he's disappeared and nobody's ever seen him since. And they're having this big festival, and they're inviting that radio DJ to Haddonfield because they're going to tell the town that we're going to celebrate Halloween and put Michael Myers in our rearview mirror. Little do they know, Michael Myers is in Haddonfield because it's Halloween. It's October 31st, and he's going to kill a bunch of people, which happens. Loomis gets involved. We meet Dr. Wynn, and he wants Loomis to come back to Smith's Grove. But we find, and Tommy Doyle thinks Michael Myers is going to come back as well, and he thinks he knows how to stop him. He talks about the Thorn and how, the Druids would have these festivals, and it almost ties into Halloween 3 a little bit, if you remember that film, about some of the stuff that Cochran talks about the old ways, witchcraft, stuff like that. And Tommy Doyle's thinking is that these people are controlling Michael, but he knows they can't control him forever. And he's right, because Michael goes on a killing rampage, and we're just going to fast forward through some stuff. People die in gory ways. This movie's probably the most gory film since the second one. They don't shy away from the blood, and but it's also like the MTV version of Halloween. There's a lot of quick cutting. It's nicely shot. It's beautiful to look at, and there's some nice atmosphere. It definitely feels like Halloween for sure. And then I'm going to fast forward to the end of the film. We find out that Dr. Wynn is the Man in Black, and him and the people who work at Smith's Grove are the reason why Michael escaped back in back in '78. And they've been taking care of Michael and controlling them, and they wanted to make Jamie's baby Michael's final blood sacrifice. That's their whole plan. And at the end, they have the baby. They have Kara's son at the hospital. Tommy gets them back. We see this operating room scene where Michael just kills all these nurses and doctors. And we have a chase scene throughout the hospital, and at the end, which is a little underwhelming, they inject Michael with a bunch of shit, this green shit in these vials, and beat the shit out of him with a metal pipe. Tommy Doyle and Kara and the kids drive off in his Jeep. Donald Pleasant stays behind Dr. Loomis to say he has something unfinished business. And we cut to black. We hear Loomis screaming out loud. And then we cut to a pumpkin, and it says in memory of Donald Pleasance because he passed away right after production. And that's the end of Halloween 6. I think this film is very well shot by Joe Chappelle. There's some nice atmosphere. The score by Alan Howarth, they pump it up to almost like the hard rock version of Halloween, the Halloween theme. And I don't mind it, actually. I don't mind the differences. I actually don't mind some of the new things they throw in here. Daniel Farrens wrote this film. Now, I know he doesn't like either version. There's a producer's cut, which we're going to talk about right now. This film was a very troubled production. The Weinsteins basically had them go back and cut a bunch of stuff out, shoot other things, shoot more gorier moments. The original version of this film was more atmospheric and not about the gore. It was almost takes it back to like what Carpenter was trying to do with the first one. And it was more psychological. Yes, Michael Myers was there, but there was more about the Thorn cult, more magic and mysticism kind of stuff. Tommy even stops Michael in the producer's cut with these rocks, and he performs this little ritual and stops Michael Myers in his tracks. It's definitely more subdued, where this one's the more jacked up MTV version, the theatrical version. That's because the Weinsteins mandated reshoots and cuts to the film. As a matter of fact, the original title for the film was Halloween 666, The Origins of Michael Myers. If you go on YouTube and search for the Halloween 6 trailer, that title comes up at the end of the trailer, Halloween 666, The Origin of Michael Myers. I remember seeing the trailer on TV or TV spot when I was back in '95, and it even said that title, and they changed it to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. So yes, there was a lot of back and forth on the set between the producers. The director was in the middle, and the Weinstein brothers were demanding reshoots. And Mustafa Akkad, they weren't used to that. They went off and made their movies and didn't have anybody else looking over them. This is the first time they really had a studio that was like demanding stuff, and they really legally had no choice. They had to go with them, and the director went along with the Weinsteins because he got a 3-picture deal out of it. And even people behind the scenes said the director didn't care about Halloween, wasn't a fan. He saw this as a way of getting a 3-picture deal with the Weinsteins. I don't know if that's true, but that's what's been said by some of the behind the scenes people that worked on the film. And even some of the cast said that Joe Chappelle did not give a shit about this film. It was just a way to get a contract with the Dimensions. And he did end up doing a few films for them after this. Other than that, the film is not bad. I mean, some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. The editing, there's some goofy shit in there, but I have such nostalgia for this, and I do still think it's pretty well shot. I think it's well directed. I think it's well acted, too. I like the actors here. I have no problem with Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle. Paul Rudd's likable in this film. It comes off as an oddball, but that's the character. I would still give this film a 7 out of 10. I think it's better than 5, just in the direction alone. I like Michael Myers better in this film. I like The Mask better. John Carl Buechler his team came in and did the makeup effects, The Mask, and the gore effects, and I think all that looks great. Yes, it's a little over the top in spots, and some of it, because of all the reshoots and the editing, the continuality doesn't make sense in some spots. Now, the producer's cut, which I do like better, and I will do a review on that eventually. For years, you could only get it on a VHS tape off eBay, and I bought one. And the quality sucked, but you could see what they were going for originally. Now, according to the writer, Daniel Farrens, his script had even more stuff in it, and they never even got to shoot because the Weinstein started demanding reshoots right away and cuts. But the producer's cut, I think, is it's the better cut of the film, I feel. And the score is more like John Carpenter's score. It's not as flashy of a film. But I still like the theatrical version. But the producer's cut is readily available. You can even buy it on Blu-ray by itself. And it came in the Halloween box set, which I own, that came out from Scream Factory a couple of years ago. That version's on there. You have both versions. But I'm only doing the theatrical cut. Theatrical cut, 7 out of 10 for Halloween 6. Have you seen this film? What are your thoughts on it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. And I'll be back next week with some more horror reviews. Thanks. Bye.